Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, I'm really excited to have with me Jaime St. James of Black and Blue. Jaime will share with us an exciting information about a new Black and Blue CD, hopefully coming out this year. Plus, Jaime will share with us some stories about working with Gene Simmons, Thayer, what it was like touring with Aerosmith, Kiss, Night Ranger, and so much more. Lots of great things to cover in this episode, so let's jump in and let's get started. Jaime, first off, I want to thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. I'll start off just by wishing you a happy new year. Obviously, the last couple of years has been crazy for everybody, and I hope you and your family have been all happy and healthy right now in the new year.
Everybody's healthy. Everybody's good. The dogs are running free, and it's all good.
That's great. Now, obviously, on a professional side for the band Black and Blue, coming up next month, you guys have the Monsters of Rock cruise. So that's an exciting start to the year. I know Alice Cooper is going to be there, Jeff Tate, yourself. So you guys must be looking forward to that.
Always. I've done a lot of these Monsters of Rock cruises. I think we were on the very first one. And I look forward to them. I mean, we've done probably 10 or 11 of them, I guess, at this point. So we're lucky to be back this year and going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Is this year is going to be any different maybe because obviously with COVID and all of that, do you think it'll be different or is business as usual?
No, I think it's going to be the same. What's different is getting on the boat. There's a lot of tests you got to take. Yep. Everybody's got to have their vaccine cards and everything. And we take tests beforehand, before you get on the boat, all that kind of stuff. So it's really safe. Anybody's got it. You're not getting on that boat.
Right.
So that's different. But once you get on there, it's a goddamn free for all.
Absolutely. And you know what? I actually saw you and the band in November on the Kiss cruise. So How is the Kiss cruise for you guys different than the Monsters of Rock? Like you said, you've done the Monsters of Rock 10 times or so. How is it different though?
Yeah, it's a little different. The Kiss cruise, less bands. So we actually played more sets. We played 3 sets on the boat rather than 2, which we do on the Monsters of Rock. It's a little bit more defined, you know. I mean, I did a bunch of stuff with Thayer. We did a Kiss trivia contest. We did some, judging some guitar players, a shredding contest, or whatever you want to call it. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And the Monsters of Rock cruise is a lot more bands. So it's just like crazy bands constantly going. So you got to be on your toes on the Monsters of Rock cruise. You want to see everybody.
Right. You know, I've never done a Monsters of Rock cruise. I always wanted to, but it just seems like it would be exhausting because like you said, there's so many bands. I could just envision running from one stage to another where there's never a chance to breathe.
It's kind of like that. And I do it too, because there's bands I want to see. So I go, okay, I got to run up and see these guys real quick. And, you know, it's a blast. And the people are great on these cruises, these rock cruises. Monsters of Rock people are awesome. You see a lot of the same people every year. The Kiss cruise was my first time. So that was really unique and awesome as well. So, I mean, I have a blast on them. I'm not afraid of being on a boat. Some people don't like it. I don't care.
Yep. Same here. Now you mentioned the 3 performances on the Kiss cruise, and on one of them, you guys reunited with Thayer, which I know a couple of years ago, you guys did some kind of benefit show, I think in Oregon, and you guys reunited. So it's not like you haven't played with him, but what was that reunion like? That's the word I'm looking for. What was the reunion like for you guys?
Yeah. We have, over the years, we do shows. Tommy will join us if it's a benefit or something like that, which we've done for people that are in need, cancer and that kind of thing. We did one for our drummer's wife who passed away, unfortunately, but we did make her a lot of money to help her along the way when she was with us. But, you know, we do that kind of stuff at Tommy. But anytime I get on stage with Tommy, it's an amazing time. because most of my life I'm looking over and there's that guy, you know, and
Sure.
when he's gone, it's kind of strange to me, but I I personally get a real thrill playing with Tommy.
Yep.
All these songs we wrote together, so it's like my brother's missing. Where the hell but, we've got great guitarists in Black and Blue now. We've got a couple of really great guys in Brandon Cook, who's been here for a while, and Doug Rappaport, who's newer, and they covered well, and we do really, really good. But it's always a pleasure to play with old Tommy Thayer. I love him.
Right. And so just for anybody else watching, who else is in the band with you guys?
And we have our original drummer, Pete Holmes, who's with us still. He also was playing for Rat, and he plays for Michael Schenker sometimes. But when we're playing and he's with us, unless for some reason he can't be, but he's usually with us. And Patrick Young's been here since day one and always will be on bass.
Nice. Very nice. Now, I know on the Kiss Cruise, you guys were on it, and also Night Ranger was on, who you guys, I think, had some tour dates with in the early 80s. And I think when you were Warrant, you actually toured a little bit with Night Ranger as well. So what was it like seeing those guys again?
We did tour with Night Ranger back in the 80s, probably 85, 84, I don't remember. But we did a lot of shows with Night Ranger, and that was the original Night Ranger back then. Always loved Jack Blades. He's a great guy and has always been really nice to me. A very good dude. Who I did play with. My very first show was with Night Ranger, Daytona Bike Fest. Big crowd. Nobody knew that Janie Lane was not going to be there. I had to walk out on stage cold and just kind of scared.
All right, I can imagine.
They're going to hate me. But the first two songs were kind of a blur. I was like, oh my God, people are looking at me going, what is this? And by the end of the set, it was great. I won them over, but it was challenging, So it was just hard mentally to go out there knowing that they're expecting the original singer. So
sure.
But Jack was there, tapping me on the back saying, you got this, right on my shoulders. You got it, Jamie. Don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like Night Ranger, always have. Brad Gillis is still with them. Those guys are great. And they really sound good. I've seen them several times. We played a couple of festivals, Black and Blue did with them on it. I always check them out because they're so good.
Nice. Now, you mentioned how you play a couple of festivals. I know, like I said, you're doing the Monsters of Rock. Anything else on the schedule for 2022 yet for you guys?
Right now, there's not anything on the schedule. Everybody wants to jump back out there and play now. So it's going to take some time for Little Black and Blue to get our claws back into something. Everybody's struggling for the same piece of ground. So I think that we'll get more stuff coming along. But right now we just did the Kiss Cruise. We're going to do the Monsters of Rock Cruise. And beyond that, I don't know. But we get calls at the last minute all the time. Right. Hey, need Black and Blue for this gig. So we're always ready. Right.
That's awesome. Now, I know about 10 years ago or so, you put out a Black and Blue album. Which if I'm not mistaken, if I remember right, you wrote all the songs yourself on that. Any thought of doing another Black and Blue album anytime soon, or is that you think that ship has sailed? No pun intended.
Well, I didn't write the whole album myself. I wrote it, and Jeff Whoop Warner, him and I together, the original other guitarist in Black and Blue, we wrote it pretty much all of it.
Okay.
And it was kind of like I either wrote the song myself or he wrote a song himself or we collaborated. But it was a team effort between me and Jeff. Nice. I like that record, which was hard to do because you have a lot less money these days, but I still have standards that are way high.
Sure.
So, look, when we were doing the records, the original records on Geffen, we would spend a lot of money. Every penny they gave us, we put it into the production of the record because it was important to us because we knew it would last forever.
Right.
I'll take this money and go buy a vet. That'll be dead. So it was all put into the music, and that's why the record sounds so good. But so I have standards that are hard to please, but I'm not saying that I'll never do another Black and Blue record, but I would want Tommy Thayer involved if it was to happen. So, who knows? I have another project kind of working on right now that I haven't really talked about yet, but it's kind of a time capsule project with myself and Tommy Thayer. We may be releasing something, 5 or 6 song thing from way back in the day. I'll know more about it as we go forward, but I believe that Tommy and I are going to release something together.
That's awesome.
So stay tuned for that. It's great music from 1989. And most people nobody's ever really ever heard it, and it exists. So we may release that together as just Thayer St. James.
Well, that'll be, so this stuff that you guys recorded in the 80s that have kind of, I'll say, sat in the vault, so to speak. And Like I know what was Promise the Moon was something you guys recorded back in the 80s, and it got bumped off an album the last minute, right?
Yeah, we did do that, and that's not part of this.
Okay.
These are 5 new songs nobody's heard that were recorded and written by myself and Tommy Thayer that would have been for the next Black and Blue record, but it never happened. Wow. And it's basically Tommy and I in the studio doing everything. So we're thinking of releasing that, and when we do, we'll let everybody know. But it's Black and Blue 1989 is what it is. But we can't call it that because it's not the band. It's just
right. It's just very interesting. So definitely the fans will keep an eye out for that.
They should, because it's good.
Absolutely, that sounds great. So we're talking about songwriting here. So what's your approach for writing songs?
Oh, it's organic in a way. When I would write with Tommy, him and I would sit down, and he would have a riff maybe, and sometimes I would pull out a guitar and show him I have a riff. But it would be me singing a riff to Tommy, or Tommy just had riffs, and we just start laying down a cool riff. And I can remember that I would say, hey, go to this chord instead of this chord, because I got a melody that'll work with that. And then once we kind of had some music together, I recorded on a blaster. Then I would just take it alone and play the music and just start singing on top of it. Whatever would come out of my mouth is what it would be.
Sure.
And sometimes lyrics would come right out, and sometimes not, but I just would see what just flow out of my head, and I would record that with another blaster. I'm old school.
Right. Nice.
I don't even think I have a blaster anymore, but that's how I used to do it. Now I use my phone, and I got a recording mechanism on there. But it's the same thing. So organically, whatever comes out, and then I form it from there. But I got a good sense of. I've been writing songs most of my life, and so has Tommy. We in a bands before Black and Blue that Tommy and I were together, songwriting was extremely important. So we just would get together and make magic, and you can't do that with everybody. I could do it with Tommy for sure.
Right. Well, like you said, for you, it's like he's your brother. So, but in the 80s, you did write with a very notable Jim Vallance, right? It's written with Bryan Adams. So how did that come about? Because you guys wrote Without Love and Miss Mystery together, if I remember right, and maybe a couple of others. But how did that partnership come about?
I can remember before we did anything, when we got up to Vancouver, Bruce Fairbairn introduced us to Jim Vallance, and we went to his house. And I had an idea floating around in my head called Miss Mystery, and I was playing with words and stuff, and I had that chorus in my head before we even went up there. And I just had it in my head, and I didn't really tell anybody. When we went to Jim Vallance's house, it's like, you better come up with something. This is Jim Vallance. We better have something to work on. So we were trying all kinds of things. Tommy was playing riffs, and we were kind of messing. And I said, I have this idea, and I just sang that chorus exactly how it is. And Jim said, that's what we're working on. So we said, okay. And so Tommy worked his magic, put all the chords underneath it, and we just went from there with Jim Vallance, and that was a great experience. So cool. And we did a little demo in his basement. Without Love was music completely done by Jim Vallance, and he had nothing, no vocals, no melodies, nothing. He had a title, Without Love, and he brought it into the studio, and I listened to it, and I said, I can do something with this. So I wrote all the lyrics and melodies, and he liked it. So so that's how that came about, and it was really great experience working with a guy like Jim Vallance. That was awesome.
Sure. Now you mentioned Bruce Fairbairn before, and like you said, he produced your album, and then he went on to produce Bon Jovi with Slippery When Wet, which I think everybody on the planet purchased. Now, I've heard before that John supposedly heard your album and said, I want that producer. Is that a true story?
He told that to my face.
Wow. Okay.
I met him and Richie at the Rainbow, I think it was, and they pulled me aside, and they told me, just want to let you know that we used Bruce Fairbairn and Bob Rock for Slippery When Wet because we heard Without Love, and it blew away our cassette. Your cassette actually blew away our last CD. The sound was so good, and it was just such the right sound that's why they used those guys. Also, Mike Fraser, who's big producer these days, but he was our second engineer, so we had a hell of a team.
Sure.
He ended up doing Aerosmith, all kind of stuff. So yeah, we were the catalyst that kind of started that thing rolling. I mean, then once Bon Jovi, everybody went there, but it really did stem from we heard Loverboy and went into Geffen and said, we kind of have this idea that these guys might make a great record. They got good sound up there in Canada. So we were right. It just really worked for Bon Jovi, that's for sure.
You should have asked John for like a percentage point or something for.
I'll take a burrito, man. Come on, maybe something.
Something.
You know what? John Bon Jovi is a gentleman and a very nice person, because he has for years, I heard him tell the same story on Howard Stern. He's told it for years that he calls it, this little band called Black and Blue is what influenced us. So I give him all the credit in the world. He's been very kind to mention us for a lot of years. So that's great. And, listen, we were right. And Without Love, the record still sounds great today. It's a great record.
Right.
It didn't do as what we wanted it to, but people still love it. And it's, that's what I got,
And I'm trying to think back now, and it's been a few years since I've listened to Slippery When Wet, but I thought there was a song on Slippery When Wet called Without Love as well. So that's
there is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I never. That's interesting.
2 burritos.
That's right. That's right. Well, speaking about not giving you credit, so and I'm sure you know this, right? But Nasty Nasty, Domino, that's the same damn song, right? So, and Gene didn't give you or Tommy writing credits. That's on Nasty Nasty. So when did you find out about that? And did you tap Gene on the shoulder and say, dude, what the hell, man? That's our riff.
Well, I did hear Domino, and I can't remember. I think I remember. I don't know if I was talking to him in person or on the phone, but I said, Domino. I've heard that before, Gene. He goes, you're goddamn right. I ripped you right off. He admitted it. So, and then Fair Play, the middle of Nasty Nasty is a riff off the Elder, which I don't even know because I don't know the Elder.
Okay.
So the middle section is a part from the Elder, and everybody would tell me about it. And they go, I don't know that. Gene put that part in. That's why Gene has a writing credit on Nasty Nasty, but I didn't know that. So it's funny, but Nasty Nasty came first. I will say that.
Yes. And so you just said Gene had a writing credit because of the Only You portion that's in Nasty
Only
Nasty.
You, that's the song, yeah.
But now let me ask you then. So it sounds like the main riff that's in Nasty Nasty and also Domino came from you or Tommy. Is that correct? That was Tommy
Thayer's riff. Tommy came in with that riff and he called it the Quiz Kid. It wasn't called Nasty Nasty.
Okay.
He, for some reason, called it the Quiz Kid. And Gene said, that blows. So I kind of said, I don't know, what are you talking about, the Quiz Kid? And Tommy had this kind of idea. He was kind of like a Who kind of a thing, But like Pete Townsend might say, the Quiz Kid, Right. I didn't get it either, but we changed it. But that main riff is Tommy Thayer's riff for sure.
So I'll say it. You don't have to. Tommy Thayer deserves a writing credit on the song Domino.
He deserves one, but he's not going to get it.
But he's not going to get it. Exactly.
I don't think he needs it. I think they've done well by Tommy.
I think so as well. And I'm sure that's the last thing he's concerned with. Right? Exactly. He'll give up the writing credit on Domino for what happened in the last 20 years. I'm quite sure.
I believe so. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're talking about songwriting, and obviously Jonathan Cain also wrote a song for you guys. I'll Be There For You. Right. So was that a song that he wrote specifically for you guys, for the band, or was that in his catalog and you guys said, hey, that sounds like a Black and Blue song? How did that come about?
No, that was, we had the record, Nasty Nasty was done.
Right.
And there was, as you mentioned earlier, a song called Promise the Moon on Nasty Nasty. We delivered it to the record company, starting to do mastering and get it ready to go. And then John Kalodner at the record company said, I have this song Jonathan Cain wrote and wants to produce. It's for a movie, and we want you to do it. I said, okay. So we went to the recording studio with Jonathan Cain and recorded that song as you hear it on the record.
Yep.
And submitted it, said, okay, here you go. Put it in the movie. The movie was called Out of Balance.
Right. Yep.
Anthony Michael Hall was in it. So it was 86. And we're at a meeting at Geffen, and they said, by the way, that's going on the record because that's what we're going to release as a single. And we're like, what?
Right.
And it was kind of crazy because it doesn't sound like the record.
It's exactly what I was thinking. It's very poppy compared to the rest of the record. I like it, but it's very poppy.
Cain meets Black and Blue. It's great, but we had no intentions of putting on the record, but we were forced into it.
Right.
And released it as a single and a video. So because it was going to lighten the record, because the idea was for us to get a little bit heavier from the last record, Without Love. So we said, well, we're going to take off Promise the Moon and put that on, and we don't have no choice. We wouldn't have done it. Right. But they made us. I think we would have released something else as a single, but our hands were tied. Geffen did what they wanted with us. They always took care of us to get us whatever we wanted when we would record. After that, we didn't have a goddamn thing to say about it. So
sure.
To me, it's a mistake. Still is a mistake, and I wish we could have changed it. But they just gave us hundreds of thousands of dollars to record it. What are you going to say?
Right. Of course. Right. Now, back around 85, 6 time period, you were also touring with Kiss. So what do you remember about being on the Asylum tour with Kiss?
I loved it. It was 1985.
Yep.
And we toured across the country with them. A lot of shows. Started in Little Rock, Arkansas. I remember that, and went everywhere. But I had just got done touring with Aerosmith in '84.
Which must have been a trip just in and of itself, touring with Aerosmith in '84.
Get out of here. I saw them live for the first time when I was 14 years old. They were opening for Three Dog Night.
Wow.
And at the Coliseum in Portland, Oregon. I was a kid. And I couldn't believe I'm opening for these guys. And I was 24 at the time. So 10 years later, after being a little kid, I'm playing with it.
Right.
And then to jump on with Kiss, it's insane. I was a huge Kiss fan. I idolize those guys. Paul Stanley, come on, I wanted to be him, and it was surreal and awesome. We played with them every night, and Gene was really cool to us. They were all great to us. I would go to sound check every day because they'd be playing stuff, and Paul would let me call out any song I wanted. I'd call out something, you got to choose. I just name any song, and they would try to play it as best they could. Because, Bruce didn't know a lot of the songs. Bruce Kulick didn't. Right. But Eric Carr, he knew pretty well. And he would play. That was what Eric Carr was about. Yep. So, they would play songs for us during sound check. And I think it was a blast, man. Blast.
Right. And now is that where also you met Gene Simmons, who ultimately went on to produce you guys?
Yeah, that's where we first met him. And he was Gene Simmons, man. He was kind of a little intimidating and a little... all kind of, he was Gene, and we got to know him better. And when we asked him to produce the next record, he said, I'd be a fool not to. So we got to know him real well then. And I did a lot of stuff. We did a lot with Gene. I love Gene. He's a great guy.
Right. Now on the Nasty Nasty album, also, he brought in Peter Criss to do background vocals on Best in the West, right? So
he didn't bring him in. I brought him in.
You brought, okay, interesting. So tell me that story. How did that work out?
Again, the rainbow, the meeting place of all rock and roll that ever happened. Every incident that ever happened in rock and roll starts the rainbow. Nice. But at the rainbow, and Peter Criss and his wife at the time were sitting in the booth, and it was his wife came up to me and said, you're recording with Gene Simmons right now. And I said, yes, I am. He goes, I'm Peter's wife. There's Peter over there. And I said, we're doing a song where we're actually having some people come in and sing. We're just kind of leaving it open if we can find anybody that wants to kind of sing on it. And if he'd be interested. And she goes, oh, he'll be interested. And she goes and talks to him, and he says, I don't want to do it. He didn't want to see Gene. He had a weird thing going with Gene at the time. He thought Gene didn't like him. I don't remember what exactly it was, but she wrote their number on a piece of paper and said, just call him. So I arranged it, and he said he'd come in. So they came in, and that night we were supposed to record, didn't record a thing all night long. All we did was sit in a lounge talking, Gene and Peter telling old Kiss war stories.
That's
very
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
So for the two of them, for Gene and Peter, it was like time stood still. It was 1979 again for them.
It was, because they hadn't seen each other in a long time. And I just got to listen to them talk and all this stuff that they were talking about. It was amazing. And we finally did get into the studio, and Peter said, Jaime, you got to come out with me. I don't want to be alone. So I'd go out there with him as he sang for some reason. And he did a great job. He sounded like Peter Criss, man. It was so cool.
Right, absolutely. So now let me ask you, you got Gene Simmons behind you, great producers with you. You've got Jim Vallance writing with you. Jonathan Cain wrote a song with you. Why do you think Black and Blue never made it up to like that next level? It's like arena band themselves, supporting Aerosmith, supporting Kiss. You had all the elements there, but it just never happened.
No one will ever know for sure, but if I'm going to blame it, I believe there was mistakes made beyond Black and Blue. I think we did our job. We wrote great songs. We had great sounding records. We picked the right producers. Some people say Black and Blue lightened up too much after the first record. I don't care. I love what we did. I think we did our job. I think the ball was dropped at the higher level. I think wrong songs were released at the wrong times. I think we were given up on too quickly on each record. Released one thing and off to the next. We didn't give it a chance, didn't really work it. So I think on the upper levels, sometimes management and sometimes the label made big mistakes with Black and Blue. If they wouldn't have, I'd be talking to you from a different house right now.
No, I mean, you were working with Gene Simmons. Was there ever any conversation, Gene saying, hey, come on over to Simmons Records. I'll do things different for you guys?
Yeah, well, that did happen. during the last album we did on Geffen Records was called In Heat.
Yep.
Gene Simmons offered Geffen $500,000 straight up to buy it from them and put it on Simmons Records, and they refused.
And they refused. Interesting.
They refused. They said, no, we're going to put it out there. Black and Blue always makes our money back, and if it pops, we want to be there to get the rewards. If it doesn't, it'll just sink. But we're not going to give anybody else the chance. We'll just release it. We're not going to put anything behind it. And if it flies, it flies. If it doesn't, we know we're getting our money back. So they kind of didn't care. And Gene tried to get us on Simmons Records. So that didn't happen. And then after the fact, that's why me and Tommy were still writing songs by ourselves in 1989, which is the thing I was talking about that may get released. Gene was going to probably put us on his label then, but Tommy ended up quitting. He just said, I don't want to do it. So we were done.
Very interesting. Now, I know obviously in the early 90s, you ended up writing a song with Gene, In My Head, which ended up on the Carnival of Souls album, right? So how did that, was that something that was left over originally from the 80s? Were you writing with him new in the early 90s? How'd that come about?
No, that was before Carnival of Souls. Gene they were going kind of in a different direction then. It was the 90s and they were trying to sound a little bit different. And Gene just said, he just called me up and said, I don't know what to write about anymore. To use his exact words, he said, I could no longer be the coxswain. So
that sounds like Gene Simmons.
I said, well, okay. So he said, just come on over. I want to play some stuff. So he played me that and I took it home, wrote some lyrics for it, brought it back. He loved them. And then he kind of changed them around a little bit, but that was it. I just wrote lyrics for that one song to help him out. And like, it ended up being like maybe 60% my lyrics and 40 his, I think, something like that. It wasn't all everything that I wrote initially. I think I called the song Nest of Termites, and he loved that, but he changed it. So
very interesting. What do you think of the grunge era Kiss album? Obviously, you're a part of it.
Hey, it's the one Kiss album I got a writing credit on, so I love
it. I like that.
Yeah. Other than that, I haven't listened to it a lot. In fact, I don't own it, but I did hear it's weird because the demos that we were listening to sound exactly like the record. It was real rough. And so I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with the whole record. So I don't know.
Fair enough. Now, I know obviously we're talking about Gene producing you guys, and I have his vault that was out a couple of years ago, right? And on there, he's got the song Suspicious on there. That's on Black and Blue album. But he's singing the song, which surprised me. So was there ever a talk that might be a Kiss song instead of a Black and Blue song? Was he just singing it because it was a demo? What's the story behind that?
Okay, that song was written by me and Tommy.
Okay.
I remember writing it. We did a demo of it, and then we recorded it, and Gene thought it was great. Gene called me, or actually emailed me, I guess, and asked permission if he could use that song and sing on it. And I said, sure, Gene, go ahead. I didn't know that what it was going to actually be, but I said, yeah, if you want to use it, go ahead. We're friends, we'll go for it. And I actually heard it finally just not that long ago. Okay. It sounds weird to me.
Right, of course.
It's different. I go, what? Yeah. Those are all my lyrics and melodies and everything. Me and Tommy wrote the whole song, but he liked it so much he wanted to use it. So I said, why not? It's fine. There's more. I mean, I did some other stuff with Gene. I wrote some lyrics for a band called Ezio at that same time period.
Yes.
That he produced, and he called me and he said, I got this Japanese guys. I need some lyrics. They don't speak English, so I wrote lyrics for two of the songs. One of them I know is "House of a Thousand Pleasures," which is that was one of their more successful songs. And I said, okay, there's the lyrics. And Gene goes, love it. I said, okay, good. I'll see you later. He goes, hold on a minute. Where are you going? I go, I'm going home. You like it? No, you're not. You got to teach him how to sing it now. He doesn't speak English. You go, oof.
Okay.
You're kidding me.
Oh, that's great.
So I stuck there standing behind him at the mic and stopped the tape every line. He would sing one line and then I'd sing it to him and then he'd sing it. It was a slow process.
Right.
I got paid decent for it. So other than that,
okay.
I guess I'm grateful for the job, but it was hard.
Well, that's very cool. Now, you said you just recently heard "Suspicious" from Gene's vault. What about? Did you hear his version of "Promise the Moon"?
No, I don't think I've heard that, but I have a version that we did. And that song actually had Gene on a writing credit. Gene had a lot to do with the writing of that song. Not Suspicious, but that one he did.
Okay.
And we did it for Nasty Nasty. I still have our version on tape, but I don't think I've heard the Gene version, but I'm sure it sounds a lot like I know he's using our music.
Right. Okay.
And he just put his voice on it. So
Right. So what's curious is I saw another song on the Vault, and you might not know anything about this, but I figured I got to give this a shot. Right. On the Vault was a song called "All You Want Is a Piece of My Heart." Right. And it's written by Adam Mitchell, and it's got Tommy Thayer on guitar. And I know Adam Mitchell was involved, I think, with you guys at that time a little bit. Was that ever a song that was being created for Black and Blue? Or is it just Tommy played the guitar for Gene and you know nothing about that?
I don't know anything about that song.
Okay.
We wrote a song with Adam Mitchell called "Give Me Your Love" on In the Heat. That we did write with Adam Mitchell. We were working with him back then. You're correct. But I don't know that song.
Okay, fair enough. Now, you mentioned earlier Warrant, and obviously Jack Blade's kind of helping you that first day that you're going out to perform, and they don't say that you're going to be the singer. To me, I think to the story that you shared, and the tough part with that is that Janie Lane was still alive at that time, right? So it's different now, obviously, with a different singer there who's doing a great job himself, but Janie's not there. How much pressure was that for you to be filling in for Janie, who great singer in his own right? And people don't know that it's going to be you. What kind of pressure was that for yourself?
It was pressure. I felt kind of sick to my stomach the first show or so. I mean, I thought, aren't we going to announce this? They go, nope. Well, they didn't want to ruin the guarantee of what they were getting paid. So they said, no, we're not going to say anything. I'm like, but listen, it was much more pressure when the original singer's alive than if he's gone. Right. I know that for a fact, but I sounded really good. I had some DVDs of some shows that we did. When I listened to them a couple of years ago. I listened to one of them and I go, God, I was pretty good with this. I sound really close in some songs. And I had Stephen Sweet behind me eventually singing backgrounds. Yep. And we would get accused sometimes of using backing tapes. I said, no, that's Stephen Sweet singing with me. Right. But it really helped me sound like Janie was Stephen. Right. He was very crucial on that. But sometimes I sounded pretty close. If I didn't, I wouldn't have took the gig. But it is harder. But listen, let's not take anything away from Robert Mason. He's a great singer, and I love the guys. I want nothing but the best for them. Yeah.
Now, how is it though for you singing songs like Cherry Pie and Uncle Tom's Cabin, songs that is, I think, very associated with Janie himself?
Yeah. Cherry Pie is a hard song to sing, believe it or not. That's really? A lot harder that's one of the hardest ones. You don't get a breath, That was one of the hardest ones for me to get down. I love Uncle Tom's Cabin. There were certain songs I loved doing, certain songs that were kind of quirky for me.
Like what? Do you remember one that was like quirky for you?
Yeah. I think Song and Dance Man was quirky for me. It was like not my thing, but I did it. Sure. I loved certain songs, Bed of Roses, Love is Stereo, Down Boys, Uncle Tom's Cabin. There were some songs, Heaven was good. There was certain ones that I enjoyed and some that were like, ooh, I'm never going to get this. But I'll give it a shot. And I love the stuff we did, very little of it, but off of Dog Eat Dog. We did Machine Gun. Yep. We one time did April 2031 or whatever.
Oh, did you really? It's a great song.
Yeah, we did some of that stuff. We did some rare cuts like Sad Teresa. I forget, with A Thin Disguise, which was B-side.
Yep, a B-side on Cherry Pie. Yep.
Yeah, I like doing all that stuff. I love doing it, and I would have done anything to ask me because that's what I was there for. So whatever song, whether I thought it fit me or not, whatever you guys want, I'll do it. And I'm going to try to do it best I can.
Right. Nice. And the Born Again album that you did with them was the full original band plus you instead of Janie. And to me, it's an often overlooked album because, like you said, there are times to me I listen to that and I'm like, this sounds just like Warrant, almost like I forget that Janie's not there and it's a different singer. So a song like Bourbon County Line is just an offshoot of Uncle Tom's Cabin to me. I mean, there's some great rocking songs on that. So you look back on that album, what do you think?
Well, after singing with, I sang with those guys for, there's a discrepancy, somewhere between 3 and 4 years, but a lot of that kind of soaked into me. And so when we started writing together, it just kind of sounded like that. It kind of had, I tried to capture the Warrant sound a little bit because I was so familiar with it at that point, but it still sounds, a little bit Warrant meets Black and Blue. But yeah, Bourbon County Line is a great song. I love it. And that was written by me, by Eric, Jerry, and me. And that was a real collaboration. We did it sending stuff to each other on the computer. I think that's a great song. listen, I think the album is real good. I don't know. It is kind of been completely overlooked, but I guess that's just the way it is. But yeah, Jaime was still around when that album came out. I remember somebody asked him. We were at Rocklahoma. Black and Blue was playing at the same time Warrant was with Jaime back. And
okay.
I remember somebody asked him a question when they were doing a meet and greet. Said, "What do you think of the album with Jaime St. James?" He said, "I think they should have called it Bet You Never Saw This Coming."
Oh, wow. Oh man. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I know him. I hung out with him. He was a great guy. I liked Jaime a lot. He was a real good dude, and we had a lot in common actually. Right. And I did hang out with him, and he was never ever weird to me at all. Right. I was more weird because I thought, oh man, I don't want to see him. He's going to hate me.
Right. He thinks I'm taking his job type of thing. Right.
Yeah, he was fine. That's fine. Cool. I love the guy. He was a really good dude. I miss him. I'd love to hang out with him again,
Absolutely. So now before we were talking about Kiss and Gene Simmons, and in the early 90s, you were in a cover band called Gin, where you played drums, which is where you started as a kid, right? The drums was what you played early on, right? So what was that experience like for you playing in Cold Gin?
Tommy asked me to do it. They were putting the thing together, and as the guys were talking about what they wanted to do, he says, I know the right guy to do the drums. Jaime plays like fucking 1970 something. That's the way he is, he could do this. So I went in and played with them, and they were just going to go play a one-off club gig playing some Kiss songs, And I said, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm putting the makeup on. Sure. Because why not? They don't do it anymore. I'm going to put the makeup. They go, really? And I said, look, now they'll tell you this. We're either going to be the goats of Hollywood or the heroes. And I ain't no fucking goat.
There you go.
So we put on black leather pants, black Kiss t-shirts, and the full makeup. I spray painted my hair black with cheap Halloween spray. And we went out and played, and it was insane. People just loved it. We did the choreographies, and everybody just loved it. And so we took it to the next level. We had the costumes made, got the boots made from the same people that made their boots.
Oh, wow.
Di Fabrizio is the name. We got the exact platforms made. We went out and just did the full thing. Had a Kiss sign behind us, which Gene went nuts about.
Right, of course.
and we had fire. We played Firehouse, had the police lights, the siren smoke, the whole thing, and it was nuts. And there was a write up in the LA Weekly, the LA newspaper. Right, they said it's a sad state of affairs when in 1990, whatever it was, the biggest band in Los Angeles is a cover band called Cold Gin.
Oh man, oh that's crazy. Well, that was right on the start of grunge, right?
Yeah, and we found that's how I made it through grunge. I just fucking did a Kiss tribute.
You did a Kiss
tribute. There wasn't a lot of Kiss tributes back then. Right. There wasn't any Kiss. There was no tributes really. There was Atomic Punks and Cold Gin. Very little. There was another Kiss tribute in Canada. There was very few tribute bands. It was before it became a thing. Sure. And we ended up touring the country, touring Japan. Gene and Paul loved us. Gene hired us to play Paul's birthday party.
Yep.
We just did. They loved it, and they supported us. They would come to every show.
Right.
Gene and Paul, right there. So it was an amazing thing.
Right. So now let me ask you: if Eric Singer decides to retire tomorrow, right? And I don't think he's going to, but if he decides to, and they pick up the phone, Jaime, you want to play the Catman again? What do you say?
Yes, I'll do it.
All right. I love it. You heard that, guys.
I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes. Yeah, I'm there.
Absolutely. Would you ever have imagined Tommy, right? You said like before, he's your brother, Tommy as the spaceman in Kiss, right? Having been, the spaceman in Cold Gin, now here it is 20 years he's in Kiss. Would you ever imagine that?
Well, most of my life, I wouldn't have imagined it. Right. I know, he was a big fan of Ace. Guitar heroes for him is like Ace Frehley, Ronnie Montrose, Eric Clapton. He likes bluesy stuff with feel. And I knew he could play that stuff. We used to do this stuff all the time. Him and I, when I was on drums, we would just go in before rehearsal and play Rush songs, play Kiss songs. We knew them all. We could play everything. So I knew he was versatile. He could adapt to anything. He's a great player. Nobody knows what a great feel he has, how awesome he really is.
Yep.
That's why he could fit into that thing so well. But when we were doing Cold Gin and they were watching all the time, I thought, oh man, once he started working for them, being tour manager, I thought he's going to end up playing. I just knew it.
Right.
I knew it.
Right. Absolutely. So now let me ask you this. the name Jaime St. James. Where does that come from? Where does that come from?
I'll tell you exactly where it came from. I was born James Harris Pond. That was how I was born with that name.
Yep.
And in, I think, 1976, I formed a band called Hell with 3 other guys. We were just in a band called Jet. That was way before the Jet. There is a Jet, but that was way before that. Mm-hmm. And we called this band Hell. We wanted to be theatrical. We looked like we were dead, kind of skeletons, and we wore red, and we were, and I said, I'm not going to be, Jamie Pond. That would sound like a rock star. Right. So I thought of Jaime St. James because I could make the S with an upside down cross. That'll be like hell. That'll be nice. So I was Jaime St. James with the upside down cross, and I was 16. Right. And that just stuck. And when I told myself as I was a kid, if I ever get a record deal, I'm changing my name permanently. And I did. In 83, we were signed and I changed my name. I'm legally Jaime Harris St. James. Very cool. And now what's interesting to me, I think I got it right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't there a song on the Warrant album, Hell, California? Yeah, there is. So you had this thing with Hell through your career, apparently. And I wrote it. Right. Yeah, I actually wrote that song for Black and Blue because we were doing the last record that we did on Frontiers. And I just had that song floating around. I kind of wrote it late, but all of a sudden I was in Warrant. And so I said, I got this song. And I showed it to them and we put it together. And Jerry Dixon kind of helped with it a little bit, added some of his flair to it. But I basically had the whole song ready to go. Yeah. How different was it for you? You said before writing with Tommy is like writing with your brother, and you spoke about that writing process. How different was it writing with the guys in Warrant? It was a little different, but it fairly easy. Eric Turner's real easy to write with. He doesn't try to bother with lyrics and melodies and stuff. He just comes up with riffs. Okay. At least back then was the way it was. Sure. And he'd show me riffs. I say, that's a good one. We did just Devil's Juice that way on that record. Okay. He just had the music. I put all my lyrics and melodies on it, and it was done. Easy to write with them. Jerry was a little different. He has much more hands-on. He had full ideas developed, and we would kind of work that out. And a lot of times I would bring in a song, and if they liked it, they say, well, that's just as is. Let's just use it. Nice. So it was different. Tommy and I have a connection. I don't know how do you even explain it, but we have a connection where we can write together. If we got together right now, we'd write, and it would be good. With those guys, it was just a different thing, but it worked. I enjoyed writing with those guys. That's awesome. So now you can't say hold on to 18. If people can remember you for one song, what do you want it to be? I can't say hold on to 18. One song. Yeah. Okay, I'll make it Auto Blast. Okay. I love that song. Auto Blast is always in the set, always will be, always has been the day we wrote it, and we made up the word Auto Blast. That's cool. There you go. That's nice. Now, and you got a birthday coming up too, right? In a couple of weeks, finally turning 21, right? Finally turning 21, right? Yeah. Very cool. Anything planned? Obviously, you'll be on the cruise a few weeks after that. Anything? Yeah, no, just me and my wife will probably go to dinner. And that's probably about it. But that's awesome. As I get older, I don't celebrate quite as much. Let it go. That's true, right? We're just happy we made it around another year. Yeah. Don't look at the age number. Look at my hair. I still got it. All right. Good for you, because I certainly don't. So, very nice. So you said before the 5-song, I'll call it EP, might be coming out this year. Any idea when? Will it be something later in the year if it does come out? Any ideas? Well, let me explain. So it'll be called Thayer St. James. And it will probably be a 5-song disc on compact disc. And it's not going to be on a label. I don't need them to take a cut of anything anymore. That's all going to be done. You'll be able to order it. We'll advertise for it. It'll be well known, how to get it. And it'll probably won't be for a little bit because I'm still in the process now. We had a 1/4-inch tape of this stuff that's been laying in Tommy's attic since 1989. Right. And it kind of disintegrated. Mm-hmm. So now we're looking at other formats. We have a DAT that it's on that we're transferring. And one of the songs wasn't there on that. So we're going to have to try to find a cassette. Once I get all that laid out, and we're going to remaster it, and package it. So it's going to be a while. I'll say, what is it? Might be ready by the summer.
Okay. And then, is it going to be your website? Like, where do people find it then?
Yeah, it'll probably start. I have a Black and Blue Facebook page.
Yep.
It'll start there. I might just build a website just for it.
Okay.
So yes, I haven't got to that yet.
Sure.
But it's going to be called Thayer St. James, and the title of the disc is 1989.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I'll people will know how to find it. But Black and Blue on Facebook, I run one of those, and all you have to do is go on there and you'll find it. Or I'll build the website as well.
That's awesome. Anything else, Jaime, that you want your fans to know before we wrap up today?
That's it. Just I'm grateful to still be playing at all, because I think what's going to happen with Black and Blue, we'll never just retire or quit. It's just going to be, nobody wants to pay us anymore to play.
Right.
I mean, when it fizzles out, we'll be gone. Right. But I have always said, as long as I can sing the songs in the original key, which I do, which is amazing. Which is amazing. Need any help. I can still sing all that stuff live. So as long as I can do that, I'm going to perform live, and I still love it. But it's hit and miss. We don't play a lot of shows anymore. So once the shows stop coming in, it'll be gone. But we'll just keep doing it as long as anybody wants us. Yeah. I
had Doc on the show back in November, Doc McGee, and he said Kiss is going to wrap up their tour in 2022. Tommy might come ringing your doorbell and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a gig."
Well,
with no disrespect to your current guitar players, of course.
Look, I don't know that Tommy wants to join Black and Blue and play 5 shows a year. He may have other ideas, but it is quite possible to get together. I mean, we're always going to be close. So we'll do something together, I'm sure, if it's maybe writing some stuff. You never know. I don't know that he'll be joining Black and Blue anytime. He has things to do, but we'll probably write some songs. Who knows? We got this project together now that we're working on side by side, trying to get this thing to package nice and done nice. So look, he's always going to be in my life one way or the other, but I think Black and Blue, I'm not sure he's going to be doing that anytime.
Fair enough. Well, Jaime, best of luck at the shows on the Monsters of Rock cruise. Hopefully there's some other festivals that come up this year. People will be checking out the Facebook site for the season.
Patrick Young always gets nervous. We don't have any shows. I go, just wait.
They come. They come. Absolutely. Well, certainly we'll keep an eye out for them. I want to thank you for your time today. And like I said, best of luck in the shows coming up in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jaime. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All righty. There you have it. I'd like to thank Jaime for spending some time with me talking all about Black and Blue, working with Gene Simmons, touring with Aerosmith, touring with Night Ranger, and so much more. It was great hearing all your stories. Black and Blue fans will surely want to keep an eye out for that hopeful new release coming up later on this year. I know I can speak on behalf of all Black and Blue fans that the people are going to be really excited about that one. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.